Now to the Supreme Court, which today agreed to hear cases involving two contentious Trump administration policies, border wall funding and the so-called stay in Mexico policy for asylum seekers. We all remember Trump's 2016 campaign promise.
We will build the wall. I promise we will build the wall. We will build the wall. And Mexico will pay for the wall. They will.
Mexico did not pay for the wall, but the administration was able to divert $10 billion in military funds and secured another $5 billion from Congress to pay for border wall construction. The administration says it's now built 305 miles of primary border wall, though just 16 miles have been built where none previously existed. Most of the construction has been the replacement of existing barriers with these towering steel structures. But how this is funded is now before the Supreme Court. And to help us make sense of it all, we bring in Kate Shaw, constitutional law professor at Cardozo Law School and an ABC News consultant. Thanks so much for joining us, Kate.
Hey, Lindsay, good to be with you.
So what's the legal issue here? And with the timing so close to election, will a court ruling have much practical impact at all?
You know, so Lindsay, you mentioned the president's campaign promise to have Mexico pay for the wall. So that, of course, never happened. And in fact, Congress never appropriated the money to pay for the wall outright that the president and his administration were seeking. People might remember back in December of 2018 and January 2019, there was an impasse between Congress and the White House that led to a partial government shutdown of 35 days, all over funding for this border wall. Congress never really produced the money that the administration was asking for. And so just as you've said, the administration ended up essentially redirecting funds that had been appropriated for other purposes. And so the legal question here is, was that lawful? Could the president take money Congress had intended for other purposes and redirect them to pay for this border wall? The lower courts have said, no, that wasn't lawful. And so that's the question before the Supreme Court. Was the administration acting within the boundaries of the law when it sought to move these funds? In terms of the timing, you're right. Because we're on the eve of the election, it is possible that if Joe Biden wins the election and changes the policy, right, stops the construction that is ongoing, then that would essentially moot the case. So there would be no more live legal issue. The case would essentially go away. Obviously, if President Trump is reelected, this will remain an important case pending before the Supreme Court later this year or perhaps early next year.
And the court will also hear a case concerning the so-called stay in Mexico policy. What is this and why has it been challenged?
So this is another Trump administration initiative, also sort of in the immigration domain. This one essentially would have changed the rules regarding the pursuit of asylum to require asylum seekers to wait in Mexico for the processing of their asylum claims, which was a real break with previous U.S. policy as to asylum. And in that case, too, lower courts found that the Trump administration had violated the law when it changed its policy, actually had violated both U.S. statutory law and international standards regarding the treatment of asylum seekers. And in that case, too, the Trump administration is hoping that the Supreme Court will side with it and that it will prevail, which it did not do in the lower courts. And there, too, if Joe Biden wins the election, it is almost certain that this policy will be changed. And thus, this case, too, will no longer present a live dispute for the Supreme Court. So these could be very significant cases if President Trump is reelected, and most likely will go away if he is not.
And what would the long-term impact on the U.S. immigration law be if the court does, in fact, rule for the Trump administration on this one?
Well, so this, you know, challengers have said that basically this policy is in tension with the very purposes of asylum, which is an important principle both under U.S. law and under international law, essentially to allow individuals who have claims of asylum that they are fleeing persecution on the basis of some protected status to remain in the United States, to have their claims adjudicated. And so this is a real break with existing policy. Also, remember, a lot of these asylum seekers have no connection to the country of Mexico at all. They've come from somewhere else and yet are being forced to remain, challengers say, in extraordinarily harsh and dangerous conditions in Mexico to await the adjudication of potentially meritorious claims that they are entitled under U.S. and international law to asylum. And so I suppose to bless this policy would mark a real change from existing U.S. law and practice. And again, the lower courts haven't done that. But certainly, you know, with a 6-3 conservative majority Supreme Court within sight, it seems quite possible that the Trump administration could prevail if the court actually does reach the merits of this policy.
A lot on the line there. Kate Shaw, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.